Happy New Year to you survivors, wherever you might be on this chilly January morn. It is us, the Not Approved podcast, and we come to you as promised once again into the year 2026 with more outrageous apocalyptic scenarios, even grittier dystopian futures, all of it nonsensical, but never out of the reach of possibility. There is always a minute chance of these things happening, regardless of how small. Monkeys and typewriters writing Shakespeare. This is the world we live in. This is the universe we live in. This is the reality we live in. And you are here to learn with us. Welcome back into the new era. This is the year of the Not Approved podcast. And of course, I am joined, as always, by Taylor.
It's so cold.
It is cold. It's always cold in January.
I'm so cold. But welcome everybody to the Icicle Show. We are here. We're trying to get through this. We're enjoying the new year, but we're a little chilly over here. And to that end, we have a very chilly concept for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely, we do, because these are the most depressing weeks of the year. But, dear survivors, we are here for you to take that depression away from you. We are the antidepressant medication you should take us regularly as a prescription. Do not take orally.
I wasn't ready for that. We're here to provide you a nice smile. We're here to provide smiles, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god, I can't function.
Tata has now lost her words.
We're here to provide smiles.
Yeah, just hear the smile behind the chattering of teeth.
We are here to provide smiles, and we have a concept that is just living in the outrageous this time. So I hope it provides you as much of a smile as it provided us when we were coming up with it, because this is a crazy wild one, and we are excited to launch into the very, very specific details of this one. What do you think?
So oddly specific, this one, but absolutely. I am so excited for this one, because when we were coming up with this one, it was pretty generic at first, but with the combined with the combination of your ADHD and my psychosis, we have got there in the end.
We have taken it from this could happen to there's no way this could happen, but we should still talk about it.
Yes, 100%.
And we've confirmed that. We did a search on Google, and their little AI engine said, no, this can't happen. And we said, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
We tried it. We were like, can this happen? And Gemini said, are you stupid? What's wrong with you? Why are you even asking me this question? Of course that can't happen. We are in the realm.
I'm not answering any more questions from you.
And that is exactly what we live for here on this podcast.
We always like to run it past AI to say, is this possible? And if it is possible, we like to change it so it's not technically. Because remember, here at the Not Approved podcast, we talk about worlds that probably couldn't happen. The options of it happening is just so minuscule. So we like to talk about that 0.001% chance of things happening.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Tata, I would like to hand over to you to explain the incredible scenario that we find ourselves in, as I say, on this chilly January morn.
Alrighty, folks, survivors, listen up, because this one is involved. So you'll have to pay attention for the entire concept. Even if you're just listening in the background, if you listen to just this part very intently, you will finally be able to understand the rest of the episode, I promise you. All right. So, in a bid to disprove climate change, a group of Facebook moms decides the best way to do so is to open every refrigerator door they have access to prove that climate change. Of course, the climate will change. It'll get so much warmer after I open all of these refrigerator doors. Isn't the energy draw gonna change the climate? Why isn't it changing? Well, they were wrong in the most fantastical way. by opening every refrigerator door, they actually triggered such a flow of cold energy that it actually incited the new ice age. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new ice age. But that's not enough for us.
No,
that's not enough.
it's
That
never
idea has
enough.
been discussed.
New ice age? We spit on this idea of
Exactly.
new ice age.
That's too generic for us. It's been done. It's been
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
We don't do that here.
No.
So, we are in a new ice age. But all of these refrigerators that these moms opened and left open puts a strain on our electrical grid. And all of these refrigerators are equipped as smart refrigerators.
Specifically the smart ones.
Specifically the smart ones. We have put so much AI and smart technology into these refrigerators that they actually sense their own impending doom. In a bid for self-preservation, they build a sentient hive mind and grow into giant walking refrigerator mechas that are constantly on a hunt for electrical power. They must stay alive. They must keep running. Here's the problem. We're in an ice age. We humans need power too. So we're in a constant battle for survival with gigantic walking, open-doored refrigerator mechas. So welcome to the new ice age, ladies and gentlemen. It could not be more fun. And this is such a fun concept, I have to say.
I absolutely adore this concept. Like I said, this was such a generic idea of new ice age at the start, but within 15 minutes, this went to so deranged that I love it.
And we do recognize, ladies and gentlemen, opening all the refrigerator doors would have the opposite effect. We do get that. It would put the strain on, it would warm up the environment around it, it would not trigger an ice age. But we don't do that here. Something happened and it triggered an ice age for us.
Like I said, like I keep saying, we live in the 0.0 recurring 1%. And that's where we like it. It's chilly here, but we have hot chocolate.
And eggnog.
Yes.
I've still got the eggnog. I know it's not Christmas anymore. I know it's not the holiday season, but I still have leftover eggnog and I am not letting that go bad.
I'm going to say, speak for yourself. I've still got some Baileys left over. You know, that's keeping
Heck
me warm on a winter's night.
Break out the Baileys. I approve.
Irish coffee, thank you very much.
So let's launch into this concept because we are your experts. So you should be very scared.
Yes.
But we are going to be talking about survival. How does one survive? So in any type of survival situation here on the Not Approved podcast, we follow a couple of very specific rules. So we're going to start with rule number 1.
Which is, and we all say it together, 1, 2, 3,
know thy enemy. So it's all about
Woo!
understanding your enemy, knowing all of the rules of your world in which you have to follow and which you can actually make a plan. So let's get an understanding of the world specifically. So I think the important thing...
I think you've laid it out so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Already. That I think it's just a case of like fine-tuning the specific elements here. So, first of all, I would like to talk about the mech refrigerator overlords.
Should we start simple and then work our way to complicated? I think the simple element is the Ice Age, is it not?
Okay, let's start with the simple and progress. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so the simple impacts of this would be just the Ice Age. Humans have to first face the Ice Age and then deal with gigantic walking refrigerator mechas. I can't believe that just came out of my mouth.
Yeah, there's a sentence you weren't prepared for. Can I just ask, though, are we talking in terms of, like, the day after tomorrow scenario where the equator is safe and everyone just flocks to the equator, or are we talking global Ice Age?
I think we have enough of the unrealistic in this concept just by nature that we can lean a little bit towards science in this component. So yes, in any circumstance, if there was an ice age, it would naturally be warmer around the equator because isn't that closer to the sun?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
By technicality, it's closer to the sun.
Yes.
So there would be the band of relative, like just tiny amounts of warmer around the center of
yeah,
the
we're
plant.
not talking like, you know, you still wouldn't have like, you know, the tropics in the equator. The equator's still gonna be cold, but it's gonna be like UK cold. It's gonna be Glasgow on a chilly morning. You know, just cold enough that you still can wear your vest and your shorts. That's just a joke for the Brits out there. Everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say that people from Scotland, from the north of England, people in the south get weather alerts. Oh, wrap up warm. Don't go anywhere. Lock yourself indoors. Put the heating on. People in the north, like, oh, it's a bit chilly today, guys. You might want to think about wearing shorts.
It's ridiculous. So some people are well equipped for the cold. I am not. I am not well equipped for it.
Right. So what we're saying is that the equator has still succumbed to it, just not as much. It's still incredibly cold in the equator. It's just not. We're not talking step out your door and instantly freeze.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So to that end, because the equator is a tiny amount less cold, we would see culturally a shift towards mass migrations towards the equator. Now, here's the question: is would people know to head to the equator? Besides our wonderful survivors here who are now well informed on that, would anyone know to migrate to the equator? We are not animals. We're not able to mass migrate like that as easily.
I think that this would be one of those things that international governments would come to a consensus on, and it would be a projected thing that, if anyone's got any sense of self-preservation or the safety of their populations, then they would advise that their populations migrate to, inverted commas, warmer climates.
So this mass migration process, we would also be seeing a significant influx of people into small spaces, like trying to cram an entire world into just one band around the equator is going to inevitably create a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of infighting. I can see, despite no longer having borders, there will still technically be that weird nationalistic ego that gets into the way. There's still going to be the cultural differences. Humans are still humans, and I'm not saying
all can't get along. Some people just can't get along is the end of the day.
Some people can't get along. I'm not saying everyone is horrible. I'm not saying not everyone can get along, but there are going to inevitably be people who just cannot put their differences aside, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we're going to see a mass migration. We're going to see a lot of strain on the center of the equator. We're going to see a lot of cultural shift. We're going to see resource difficulties as well. So let's talk a little bit about resources in the Ice Age, because how does one cultivate or depend on agriculture in the Ice Age?
Right, can I just jump in here just for one thing? Because I will point out that there are already places in the world where people live where it is outrageously cold. Specifically places in Russia / Siberia, by the looks of it. There is a place which I wish I had the time to try and figure out how I can pronounce this, but I really don't know. Oymyakon? Please correct me. That is the coldest recorded location where people live, where it has been recorded in 1924, the temperature dipped to minus 92.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And for those of us in non-freedom units, that is minus 71.2 degrees centigrade. That is a cold day. That is outrageous.
So
I just needed to bring that into perspective for everyone. So again, what I'm saying is that we need these people to come and tell us how they do stuff. I want these people to come and talk to me.
They would definitely have a lot of tools at their disposal, that they can provide. The question is, would humans listen? It's been inevitable that there's a certain knowledge source, or there's a certain population faction that has more experience in this type of environment or in this situation, and we just don't listen. I don't understand how. It's just some weird. I think it leans back on ego. Like the narcissistic nature of humans can be like, how dare you profess to know more than I? So inevitably, I do think that there would be certain large groups that wouldn't listen. So I'm sorry, but this apocalypse, we would see a huge die-off very early, very big, very
100%.
very 100%. So we'd see a huge population decrease at the start, and then over the coming months, we would see astronomically higher percentages of a populations falling.
Can
So
I just clarify one thing? When the ice age hits us, is this a gradual, it's getting colder, it's getting colder, it's getting colder, oh my god, it's actually too cold? Or has the temperature dropped incredibly significantly overnight because of the open refrigerators?
I think it has to be overnight simply because
Mm.
the Facebook moms would recognize the power drain and their electrical bills over time.
Yeah, they wouldn't
So,
admit that they were wrong, but they would
correct.
recognize the power drain, yeah.
They would recognize that. So I do think it would be relatively overnight just to successfully reach some level of realism. But
Okay.
I do think it would be a relatively quick process. Whatever it triggers in our atmosphere, it triggers it fast. And suddenly, overnight, we are facing a significant drop in temperatures. The next day, we have snow at like everywhere. It just gets cold. The next day, the water
Yeah.
levels start to lower because glaciers start building. And then,
Yeah.
day after day, it just keeps getting worse. And
Okay, so that automatically brings into a question. Yeah, migration is definitely the route forward. However, migration is not necessarily going to be, it's not even going to be possible for some people. Like, it's already too cold to make the journey.
correct.
Like, people in the northern and most southerly hemispheres are basically gone, I reckon.
Yes. So migration would be very difficult for a lot of the world to accomplish.
Mm.
So for the functionality of our conversation, we're going to assume that we have access to migrate. I mean, once the oceans start to freeze a little bit, like would the oceans
You can walk
freeze?
across. Yeah, at certain temperatures, like you have to get very, very cold, but yes, an ocean can start to freeze.
I would say once the oceans kind of start to freeze, we
You can
have
start
enough.
walking it.
Yeah, we have enough resources, I think, to keep us alive in the very interim, just to get us long enough to get down to the equator. I don't
Okay,
know
yeah,
about
I
you guys.
reckon
You guys are on an island, like an island country, and you guys are really far up there, if I remember correctly.
we are quite far up here. It gets quite cold, but not as cold as like the Scandinavian, Nordic region of the world. I'm just going back to times of pandemic. We managed to cope for 3 months before everything started to shut down, and they said, "You know what? We cannot actually do this any longer. We need to start moving things again." So I reckon we've got a few weeks. I'm not saying we have as long as 3 months, but I think we have a few weeks of resources to gather everything together in order to make the move. But we in the UK would have to make that move quite quickly, I reckon.
Yes, you guys would have to jump on it very fast. Well, we have a little bit more time over here in the States, but
Again, depending on
I-
where you are in the States.
depending
it
on
gets
where you are in
cold
the
in-
States.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once we mass migrate, the question is agriculture and actually setting up some sort of cultural industry in some way. So I do think we would still see collections in these large cities. I think humans have a tendency to band together and create borders by nature. So I do think we would still see collective cities. And the only way I can foresee us actually having any success with agriculture is creating indoor agriculture, indoor plants, gigantic greenhouses, anything to try and preserve heat within to keep these plants growing. Finding
I mean,
crops
we
that
already
are
have.
cold resistant.
Yeah, we already have the technology to do like underground bunkers that are essentially greenhouses and things like that with artificial lighting. Yeah, I've seen some lovely things where they've got like stacks of plants that they're growing like vertically to save space in underground facilities. Yeah, and it's lovely. But our major thing there, like, yes, we can do it. Yes, we can get artificial lighting, but they rely on an energy source that is diminishing because of the mecha refrigerator overlords.
Which launches us into our conversation about the extra added struggle of gigantic mecha refrigerators wandering the continents. So,
I personally feel that this is absolute video game territory. I feel like because there is absolutely a finite number of refrigerators in the world. Yeah, there's no two ways about that. There are definitely, like, this is the amount that are working, this is the amount that are smart, and this is the amount that could reasonably gather together in one location. I foresee that there is one enormous mecha overlord per continent.
I think there would be more. I don't think they would be as large as you're anticipating. I think there could be like groups of littler ones. I'm imagining them like Transformers, where, yeah, there's naturally one big one like Optimus Prime. Hey, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's the smaller ones, but they're still
Yeah.
very large by nature.
I agree with you. You would have like the mini bosses of
Yes.
the refrigerators, but every continent I feel would have its own boss battle
The big
going on.
boss.
Yeah, an absolute big boy, like in oh god, trying to think, because I'm chronically in pop culture and stuff. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, there's always, a big bad somewhere. And that's the main thing. And once you clear that big bad, you've secured the area, essentially. So, under video game logic, I feel the only way to resolve this is to take out the mecha overlords. But the only way to do that is to close each of the refrigerators that are attached to the mecha overlord.
Which launches us into survival techniques and tactics. So know thy enemy, then know thy struggle. Try to find your way to fight the enemy. Look for those weaknesses.
Resist, comply, or die.
This is our survival concept by which we actually structure our conversation. We find a way to resist, we find a way to comply, or we find a way to peacefully pass. It's just kind of, those are our only options that we usually face during an apocalypse. So, resistance. I think it's important to understand that the giant mechas, they don't really have a chip on their shoulder against humans. The problem is they're operating with the cold reality of AI and smart refrigerators.
Yes.
To that end, humans probably won't actually face any danger directly from the mechas. All of this danger would be indirect. So, for example, if we don't mess with them, if we just allow them to siphon off of the energy field and just control all energy, they'll be fine. They'll be chill. They're like, we don't have any problems with you. Here's the problem. It inevitably will need the involvement of humans to maintain that energy. So I'm imagining they will enslave a large portion of each culture just trying to keep the energy flowing. So humankind would have kind of a passive role, except for those who are actually directly kidnapped and enslaved by these giant robotic mecha refrigerators.
Exactly, because we're not saying that this has entered the Matrix territory, where the machines have discovered that we can be used as living batteries, but that is the fear in this universe, that one day the refrigerator is going to figure out that human beings can be used.
And to that end, we need to resolve the issue before they come to that conclusion.
Exactly. But in the meantime, there is still an ongoing power struggle, because, yes, we could live side by side, but the larger the mech overlord becomes, the more energy it requires, and thus it's always needing to leech more energy from us.
Plus, we need energy. If we're going to be able to sustain this underground or indoor culture, agriculture, survival, warmth, things like that, we need that energy too. And that they won't be able to stand by that. They need all of the energy. With our three steps, resist, comply, or die, let's start with resist. So resist, we actually have a very viable AI-approved method of survival. We checked this. We wanted to double check. So we were like, I wonder if, do you know how hard it is to explain to AI this concept? Let me tell you.
My issue, Tater, is that every time you do this, you're just giving the AI ideas on how it can annihilate us.
It's the same thing as if someone around me dies and they look at my Google search history, they're going to have some serious questions for me.
Tater, you and I are both writers. Of course our Google histories are full of...
That's not an excuse a detective will take. It's not. But yes,
Anyway.
AI listened and it approved of our idea. So here is our idea, and we actually have kind of a mechanical engineering background of why this works. Close the doors. Close the
Yes.
refrigerator doors. This all started because of the energy draw from opening all the refrigerator doors. Close the doors. Then, thus, the actual process of cooling these refrigerators slows down. The compressors can shut down, and it would inevitably just power down these mechas. They wouldn't have an electrical need, an electrical draw,
Mm.
and thus it would close down the quote-unquote hive mind of these gigantic walking mechas.
Yeah, but because self-preservation exists, the AI will see that this is killing it. But it's not. It's actually doing the world of good for everyone, including the refrigerator. But the refrigerator doesn't realize this.
Correct.
So, yeah, that is our resist, is to go in boss battle style, thinking Shadow of the Colossus, climb the Colossus that is the refrigerator mech and close all of the refrigerator doors.
I imagine, I imagine in some sort of weird dystopian style conversation of, how'd we do today? Well, we closed all the doors on the right arm. That's great. It only has one arm left. Let's get it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
It leaves us a goal. It leaves us a measurable level of success at which we can fight back. Here's the problem: is all of these other little sub mechs
The mini
walking
bosses.
around. Yeah, the little mini bosses just get in the way of the big boss. So
Yeah.
we would have very. I do want to see this video game created because it would be
Same.
intense. Trying to get past all these mini bosses just to get to the big boss, shut that one down, and then we can subsequently shut all the other ones down. The other option is to just shut down the entire electrical grid. Go after the source.
Can I just say I've never been more more wanting for a game developer to be listening to our nonsense. Because I want this to be a thing now.
Like, could you imagine pitching this to like gigantic tech conglomerates? Like, okay, we have the game for you.
When we're a big multi-billion-dollar podcast, there will be no
Unlikely.
No, we have to think in the zero recurring percentage.
We do live in the unrealistic, so we have unrealistic expectations for this podcast.
Exactly. But no, once we are a multi-billion-dollar franchise, then there will be nothing we cannot do.
So,
anyway.
Yes, we have
resist.
a viable solution. So we have two different ways of resist. We have fight back directly against these mechs trying to shut the refrigerator doors.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other option would be to cut off their life force from the get-go, which would be shutting down the electrical grid or damaging it beyond repair. I think that one is a little bit more dangerous for us because all of the humans that they have enslaved would be at risk at that point.
Yes.
We wouldn't be able to get it back up and running once the mechs are out of the way. Building up human infrastructure is hard enough as is, especially with human society disintegrated in the way it did. So I do think our option, and I think it's a very viable option, is just war parties of humans shutting refrigerator doors. Could you imagine, like, here lies Bob. He valiantly shut 2 refrigerator doors before his passing.
Yeah.
We will
Now,
honor him for his door-shutting prowess.
You are automatically a war hero for closing one refrigerator.
Could you imagine that death conversation?
Yeah, there will be a remembrance day just for the fallen of these mighty battles that took place. But
once we
I
succeed,
agree.
statues of valiant heroes erected standing atop a broken refrigerator door.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% that's what's going to happen. But no, I agree with you, because cutting off the power source not only is leading to the potential harm of the people who are in captivity of the overlords, the power supplies are going to be heavily guarded by the mini bosses. You know, they're not letting just anyone go and touch this thing.
Yeah.
You know, you may get an opportunity for one of the captives to go and sabotage the system, which would be a mighty boon for the human race. But within that lies the fact that humanity is still itself relying on the energy resource. And if you cut off that power supply, then you leave the rest of humanity vulnerable.
And I think that really flushes out our idea of resist. So then here comes comply. And I think that ties in a little bit with what you were saying is we can just subject ourselves to the mech overlords and just work for them.
I'm just going to say, but they would grind us into the ground because they are AI and they are robotic. They have no understanding that the human being needs to rest and eat. And
correct, yeah.
What do you mean you need to recharge?
It wouldn't be a viable option.
No.
That's not a viable option, but it is an option.
It is an option, but it's not one that's going to land you. Like, you are not gaining the favor of the refrigerator overlord. The refrigerator overlord does not care.
Sentience does not mean ethos. Like, it doesn't mean that it has an emotional backing to it.
Exactly.
But I think that another option as part of comply could be creating some sort of deal with them. So AI should be able to comprehend negotiation tactics. Now, its success at negotiation is not great. However, I just saw an article the other day that an AI system was trying to blackmail someone. So if it can understand the concept of blackmail, it can understand the concept of a deal. I don't know how viable that would be, but some of our peace-loving survivors might lean towards that. So that is an option. And then die. So we've got resist, comply, or die. We could just give in. We can just accept the inevitability, and that's not a viable option for me. I do think this is a survivable world, so I don't think that's viable.
It's very rare in this podcast where we will ever go for die. I feel like there's always a chance that there is a fight back option. However, I do feel that this is going to be one of those things where a lot of people are going to die, because comply will only get us so far. Because the mech overlords are always going to need more power to sustain themselves, or want more power to sustain themselves. And so complying will only get us so far before they realize that they can just leech more off of us. So I think our only option, not just you and I as individuals, but as a human race, I think our only option is resist.
Yep, resistance. Yeah. I think that's going to be our best option as well. And to that end, I think it's important that we now that we have kind of an idea of what method we would take, what path we would take, we know our enemy, we know our survival tactic. So then let's focus on who we would be surviving with. Who are we depending on in this situation? Because now we know what we're actually doing and what we would need support in. So we're going to move on to our social section.
Woohoo!
Then those of you who are new to our podcast, we use dating apps. I know. But we do use dating apps in order to find, it's just the best way to have a one-stop shop window shopping of people's personalities and profiles. So we use dating apps in order to assess the survivability of random people from the internet. Now, we will specify that we aren't actually judging them on their looks, on their appearance,
or
on
their
dating.
dateability.
Yeah, their dateability. We're just looking for, would anything about their profile lend itself to this survival situation?
Okay, and we start off with, well, look at this guy. This guy's just so happy. Like, in every picture, this guy's just so happy. What are we naming this guy?
Let's call him Frosty.
You want a Frosty?
Let's call him Frosty. He's got like kind of a, that cheeky smirk smile.
It's
where
such
he's like,
a cheeky, yeah.
It's a cheeky grin. It's adorable, but again, we're not looking at appearance or dateability.
No, it's just, it's a striking, cheeky look he's got to him that I could not go without saying.
Now, his first picture, he has a dog in the background, and does that not look like a husky?
That is that is either a husky or that is some kind of Alsatian or German Shepherd.
Okay. So he's outdoors, he looks like he's hiking, and he's got a dog that is also outdoorsy by breed. So that stands well for him so far.
Yeah, by the way, that dog is also pulling a very cheeky smile, I might say.
It is. Both dog and owner have very cheeky grins going.
Oh, that's
now his profile,
adorable.
His first thing that he says is, I'm pretty laid back. I might climb a mountain for a shiny rock.
That is shiny, isn't it?
Yeah, he said, ladies and gentlemen, you spell shiny, S-H-I-N-Y, but we're not going to get stickered.
We're not here to judge.
Spelling here. It took a second to think about that one.
We are not here to judge, says the person who just judged.
I judged. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But he climbs mountains. That's a good thing.
And he climbs mountains for the sheer fun of it.
Yes, he climbs it for a shinny rock.
Yes, a shinny rock
I'm not
or something yummy. Where is this guy climbing that there's the promise of something yummy at the top of the mountain?
His next picture, he's in an actual sauna, it looks like.
I was going to ask, was that a sauna? It does look sauna-ish. We can't see anything.
Sauna-ish.
Can't see anything. It's only like from the chest up.
But his picture does have his interests down at the bottom here.
Yes.
So, active lifestyle, backpacking, snowboarding.
Yes. Okay, so this is a guy who's already accustomed to maybe colder climates.
Yeah, he's got experience. Plus, snowboarding would possibly be a viable method of transportation.
I'm not even going to argue with that, because in World War II, when the Russians went into Finland, the Finnish army not only dressed themselves in white camo, which was the first use of white camo in the world, but they were also the first army to battle using skis. They were silent assassins in the night on skis, and they absolutely took down the Russian army. Absolute big up to Finland there. So automatically, that's what I'm picturing with this guy. He's also got backpacking and sushi. Okay, so backpacking, he's used to like going around with heavy things on his back. You know, this is a guy who would be really great on the front lines for carrying stuff. He can snowboard, get there quicker. He's also a fan of sushi, which means the guy is prepared to eat raw things.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
He's ready to eat things that are uncooked.
Yes.
Because we won't have the energy to cook
Not
it.
necessarily, yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at basics and lifestyle here.
Oh, wow, he has a degree. That's good.
That's very nice. Yep.
Non-smoker, that's good because tobacco plants are screwed.
Yep, absolutely. Or booze on special occasions. But again, special occasions, yeah, we might be able to get enough grapes together to have a special occasion.
We defeated a mech overlord. Let's get some booze.
Let's get the emergency booze ration out. Cheers.
Next picture is, oh, he's freaking tall. Holy crap.
Oh my god. I hadn't even realized that.
Okay. Is that a benefit or what's the opposite of benefit?
A hindrance.
Hindrance, thank you. Good lord.
I
think that might be that's a benefit because he's tall enough to reach the door to close.
Yes. He has the reach.
He has those extra long arms to reach the refrigerator doors.
Okay,
he's on a snowboard so he can do it quickly.
He's on a snowboard, he can do it quickly. Plus, I'm just seeing here, University of Alaska. Now, if that's not cold...
This guy knows winter.
Yes!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Frosty, you could not be more perfect.
This is going very well. Oh my god. Okay. If I'm not at home, you can find me in the forest. Likes Nintendo.
Okay, so he's
a
fan.
90s kid.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
He's a fan of the old school tech. We love this.
Which is good because we won't have modern tech really, and I imagine there will be a lot of fear surrounding modern tech after we defeat the overlords.
Yeah, absolutely. Because anything with a smart attached to it is automatically like, no, we don't want any part of this because we don't want it syncing up with the refrigerator mech overlords. Every time I say the words refrigerator mech overlords, it rolls off the tongue so well, but it sounds so wrong to say.
All right, so that seems to be the end of our information on Frosty. So I'm feeling very good about Frosty. Do we want to hold off for the second one, or do we want to say yes? We want Frosty to join us.
I am 100% behind Frosty joining us.
I want Frosty to join us. Yes.
Yes.
So congratulations, Frosty! You're joining our party.
Woohoo! Absolutely fantastic. And now we move on to who I shall lovingly name Snow Cone.
So Snow Cone is training to be a doctor.
Oh, we do need medics.
We need medics.
We need medics.
Do. So his first picture, he's doing like another cheeky grin, but he's leaning against like a canoe.
That does look like an upside down canoe. Yes, that
I think
maybe
it's an
getting
upside down
fixed.
canoe. Very lush green, so he's out doing outdoorsy stuff.
Can I
Good for him.
can I
What's
just
in
say
his hand?
can I just say I love this tagline of coming to hospitals near you. Anyway,
All right,
moving
next picture, on. He's got his sunglasses on and he's leaning against a very artsy wall.
Oh,
It's got, like, a big mural on it.
yeah, that is incredibly artsy.
It's beautiful.
Listing his interests as food tours, wine, self-care, soccer, and travel. Okay, travel. So he's prepared
Travel
to
could be helpful.
make the journey towards
Yeah.
the equator. Soccer. I mean, we do need something to keep us all warm on those cold, wintry nights. You know, he could get a football club together, like a nice soccer team. You know, it'll be wholesome.
I'm getting a little worried. He keeps wearing shorts and, like, t-shirts. He's wearing a sweatshirt in clearly a summer picture. Like, I
Oh,
have
this
a
guy
couple
might not be
concerns.
acclimatized. You're right.
That's my concern. He works out often. He smokes silly stuff.
The devil's
socially.
lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. Um,
Non-smoker, so
but
that must not
he's
be
a
a vape.
non-smoker.
Yep. He has a dog.
All right.
He has a little doggy.
You got a doggo.
Yeah.
All right, next picture. Him playing soccer. Again, okay, so he's still got the t-shirts and shorts going in all these pictures. Oh my god. Have you reached the picture that may be a detractor?
Are we talking about the desert picture?
He's literally standing in a desert.
This is a guy who is absolutely not acclimated for the ice age.
He's gonna be a snow cone from day one, man.
Yeah, this is a guy who, right, he loves to travel and go places, but it looks to me like he likes to travel places that are hot.
So he might be kind of in a miserable, he might be a negative Nancy
He's gonna
a lot
be
of the time.
so upset.
We could really use a doctor.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Those are all his pictures. So in his profile, it talks about him being a doctor. He's a master. Oh, I don't want to read that. Nope.
Wait.
I don't want to read that.
Just shut that down straight away. I don't even know what you were going to say.
Yep. So his profile doesn't really tell us much more than we didn't get in his pictures. So
wow. I've just read that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say that out loud.
Do you know what? That's cheeky. That is incredibly cheeky. I am down, but this does not help us in our apocalyptic
it's very
scenario.
Clearly a dating statement, not anything that we can use for this. Okay. So looking at the whole of Snowcone, this is an individual who does outdoorsy and travel stuff. He's a doctor, but the detractor is he is super, super unequipped to handle the cold weather.
Absolutely. He's the type of
and
guy
this is
that we need.
Really cold.
Yeah. He's the type of guy that we need because of his skill set. However, he is going to be so miserable throughout the whole thing. We would have to...
I imagine other doctors would survive.
Yeah, but I think in terms of this, I think we need all the doctors we can get because hypothermia is going to be a very real thing, like frostbite.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
that's a good point.
Yeah, we need as many medically trained personnel.
If we can get him all the way to the equator, to one of these cities, and set him up to be a doctor, I don't think this is necessarily... Because remember, we're looking for a survival partner, someone that we can rely on consistently.
Yeah.
So I think that he would just be the guy along the journey that we pick up because we know he won't survive by himself and get him to a location to leave him there.
Potentially, yeah.
Whereas I think Frosty is more of a partner. Like, this is someone who is actually going to be successful in the survival technique we have picked.
I agree. I think that for the overall good of humanity, even if he ends up just being on a war memorial, Frosty is the guy I want on my team.
All right, so congratulations, Frosty. It looks like you're our selected survivor to join us.
Yes.
Woo!
Right, so now we have established our world, we have established our survival techniques, and we have established a partner to join us in this very frozen wasteland and combat, the mecha overlords that rule over us. Which brings us to the interesting premise of how well are we going to survive, not just as individuals, but as a human race as a whole. But let's start with us as individuals. Tater, how do you rank yourself out of 10 in this survival setting?
I think I'm pretty well equipped to the cold. I hate the cold. I do hate it. So I would be a miserable miserable, Nancy. But I do think I am fairly equipped to the cold because I live out in the Pacific Northwest. It's freaking cold out here. So I do think as far as it goes, I'm going to give myself a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, where I'm just tipping over that survivability at 5, so I'm not neutral at 5. I don't think it's a 50-50 chance. I think I have a little bit more than a 50-50 chance at survival.
Okay, I feel like that's fair. I will class myself now. I've got to take into consideration not only am I from the UK, which is an island nation, I am also based like in the northerly part of the UK, which is considerably colder, surprisingly, than the lower portion of the UK for some bizarre reason. So not only do I have further to travel, I need to wait until the oceans have frozen, potentially, to make the crossing. There's going to be mass chaos, mass pushing. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get through the sheer panic that would be taking over the entire country of the UK at that moment. So, unless I can cross over the oceans because the freeze has already taken like the salt water, if I can get to the equator, my chances of success, I would say, are a 6 because I am accustomed to colder climates. Obviously not as cold as this is going to get, but I am accustomed to colder climates. I do have provisions and gear for colder climates. However, if I'm not able to leave the UK, my chances of survival absolutely diminish right down to a 2.
You want to average that at like a 5 for us collectively?
Collectively, yeah, I'll average it as a 5. Because you also need to think, not only am I going to be cold, but there's also the fact that there will be a refrigerator mech overlord on the British Isles somewhere as well, which is also causing problems.
All right, so collectively we're looking at a 5. We could survive, we could not survive. So it's fairly neutral on this one. There's a lot of weird detractors that can take away from it. So it is going to be very situational survival-wise. So we are looking at a 5. So we have a chance. We do have a chance.
We have a chance individually. However, the human race, I feel like this is extreme odds for the human race.
Yeah.
And I personally, there is a chance that we may be able to close the refrigerator doors, but the human cost of doing so will be monumental. I personally feel that this is one of those scenarios where the human race as a whole only has a 2 out of 10.
I would agree with that, because not only do we have to take down the mechs, we still have to deal with the subsequent climate difference that is still just because we're closing the refrigerator doors does not automatically return us to the climate that we once had.
It's going to take ages for that transition to happen, especially if we're taking out one mech at a time by one refrigerator door at a time.
So unfortunately, in this situation, we like to usually say congratulations, survivors, you will survive. In this one, best of luck.
Absolutely.
We wish you all the best. Those of you who are listening today have higher survival odds because you've thought through the possibilities. You've come up with the contemporary methods of survival. Yeah. You actually are fairly more prepared than the rest of the population. But again, best of luck to you. We might or might not survive.
And remember, you have the best
tools at your disposal.
You have the best chances in the world, survivors, because you came to us for this scenario and this survival information. So you are in the best position you can possibly be. Get out your big coats. If you don't have a big coat already, I suggest that you invest in one.
And we've left you in the best place that we can with this survival technique, but please do let us know if you have any ideas on how you can survive better in this apocalypse. We'd love to hear them. We love to give our feedback on them. We love to interact with you guys. We're going to go ahead and end our episode here. I think we've had a really good in-depth conversation of a very odd topic, I must say.
Incredibly odd, yes. But yes, of course, as Tata says, please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below. And remember, you can find us on all social media platforms and wherever podcasts are uploaded. We leave you into the chilly January night once again. You take care out there, survivors, and we will see you in warmer climes.